I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in trauma and crisis first response, and I'm going back to school for my LPC starting in October. I'm the Equine programs manager at Joyride, and I co-manage the herd with my fiance Terry, who was here a minute ago, but he must have run away.
He's right over there.
He's over there somewhere. We have a veterans program, we have an EAL mental wellness program, we have therapeutic riding, and we have a day program for people who have aged out of the traditional special needs programs. And they're awesome. Most of them are in our riding program, and we do EAL with them as well. So my previous session was Clinton Anderson groundwork, getting them to engage their mind to prevent burnout. Because how many of you guys have had horses burn out mentally in your programs, okay? And one thing I'm quite proud of is that, and I know some of you guys have already heard this from the first segment, but for the newcomers, we have experienced very, very little mental burnout from our horses. We have two who were on the verge. We really cut back their lessons, and that's made a huge difference. But since we started our veterans and our EAL program, and especially incorporating the natural lifemanship, which is what we're going to do today in this segment, we've experienced a lot less burnout, horses that are much more willing to interact with humans. So I know I just asked, but I was also kind of walking away. None of you are really familiar with natural lifemanship? A little bit? Okay. So there's four major principles to the natural lifemanship method: consent, choice, communication, and connection. Okay? How many therapy horses get a choice in what they do? Usually very little, right? So in TR? I mean specifically therapeutic riding horses. So for EAL and veterans, like our clients and horses choose each other. And in those programs, in my veterans and the EAL program, I always want our horses to be given a choice and that choice to be respected. So what are we teaching our human clients when our horses are allowed to say no? That the client can say no too, right? Many of the kids that we work with in our EAL program are from foster organizations. We're working on bringing clients who are survivors of human trafficking. So autonomy, consent, these are like, and I always ask, if I'm going to put my hands on a client, like, may I touch you? You know, body autonomy is huge, okay? So when we are working with horses, and you know, Jolene, this is Jolene, for those of you who don't know, what are you seeing about Jolene right now? Curious, right? Have you noticed, like, is she coming close to me? Is she gravitating to people? What is she kind of staying towards? She's what? She's interested more in what's outside, okay? And so what does that tell me? She's not engaged, right? She's not curious about having a relationship with me, but I haven't exactly asked her for one yet. So natural lifemanship, I'm currently pursuing certification. So there are still things I don't get 100% right. So please don't judge me on this, even though not many of you are familiar with it, but I might not get it 100% right. But again, I am human. And it really is amazing what these horses can tell you from a little bit of time working with them in this way. And I don't do therapy, I'm not a licensed therapist yet. Right? So that's been a common theme, right, with a lot of our EAL sessions this weekend. Now she's licking the barrel, okay? So also, please be patient with me because I have ADHD and my mind jumps track all the time, so I might go off on tangents or I might forget what I was saying mid-sentence like I did just now, and I have no idea what I'm talking about at this moment. But natural lifemanship is really powerful for horses, I think especially who are in therapeutic riding, because you're really giving them a voice. You're really letting them know. So we have one horse, his name is Duke. He was donated to us from Texas A&M University. Anybody here an Aggie?
Yeah!
Good Aggies. He is our most wonderful and our busiest horse. He is one of the ones that's burning out. He is our steady Eddie. He's an ex-rainer, so he's short, but we call him the professor. And he has become really burned out, but using natural lifemanship is a lifesaver for horses, I think, that are just overloaded in TR. Because sometimes, does everybody have a horse at your barn that it's like you don't want to get rid of it no matter what, you want to do everything you can to keep going as long as possible, right? So natural lifemanship is also based on attachment theory. Who here is familiar with attachment theory? Okay, so for those of you who aren't, attachment theory is something that you develop within the first couple of years of your life, and it's based off how your caregiver saw to your needs. So you have different attachment styles. I'm not going to name them all, but you have your healthy, and that's probably not called healthy, but you have your anxious avoidant, where you want, I'm not going to get into it because that's going to get into psychology, and then we'll start therapizing. But basically, the pattern of how you have relationships in your whole life is established in the first couple of years just based off how your caregiver responds to your needs. Are you crying, and they come feed you and change your diaper, whatever. So a lot of work can be done here. And right now, I'm learning a lot about Jolene just because even though I just worked with her for a whole session, she hasn't come anywhere near me. And that's okay, right? Because a lot of her abilities, so she kind of unwind from what we just did, because I'm really switching gears here. So before, I was really asking her to move her body, really engage her mind. But in natural lifemanship, again, it's a lot about choice. And it has a lot to do with also pressure and release. And where you direct your pressure and your energy, and how you ask, and a lot of how you are doing inside. So right now, I'm not as anxious as I was when I started my first session. So I'm going to ask everyone again just to take a nice deep breath with me. I know you're relaxed and I'll be more relaxed, and Jolene very much lovingly showed me when I started to relax. Because as many of you guys know, if you go into the arena to work with your horse or to ride him and you are an anxious ball of nerves, what are you going to get from your horse? Anxious ball of nerves, right? My personal horse is extremely sensitive to my body language and my energy in ways that I'm not even aware of, okay? So a big thing that they talk about in natural lifemanship is really regulating yourself, really calming your breath, lots of deep breathing, okay? So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start asking Jolene to do something called connection with attachment, okay? So you might see this method is very similar to Joda, right? At the end, where the horse is going to follow you at liberty, no halter, no leader. And I used to be obsessed with join up when I was a kid because we chased a horse around the round pen, and eventually they were like, you know what, you're my safe place. I want to go in there. I want to be with you. But after working with natural lifemanship, I came to understand that when you work with a horse in a round pen that way, chasing them, making them change directions, what state of mind are they in? Fight or flight, okay? And the horse, from what I come to understand, is they're elevated and they come and say, I don't want to run anymore. When I'm next to you, I don't have to run. I don't want to be a lesser equal. I want my horse to be happy to come to me and connect with me and follow me, okay? And so asking Jolene to connect with me today through attachment is walking close to me, being next to me. And depending on how she responds is also, going to tell me about her attachment style. It's also going to tell me a little bit about my attachment style and where I'm at right now. So just kind of like when I was doing the groundwork in the first segment, one of my biggest issues that I've seen when I do this work with horses is I ask for too much. Some of you might have seen this in my first one. I try to be very careful about praising the try, but when it comes to this, I find that myself, I am so desperate for connection that I ask for too much, and I don't necessarily recognize the little try that they're giving me, that little wink of connection. So, again, just to get a feel for what you know, how are some ways that you can tell that your horse is trying to connect with you or wants to connect with you? Their eyes are on you, right? What else? Ears, okay? They'll have an ear on you. Their head's low, they're in a state of relaxation. Can you connect to something if you're anxious or worried or afraid for your safety? Right? We'll have the horse is more relaxed, more attentive to you. And when I say attunement with your horse, what does that mean to you? When you're attuned to your horse.
Tuned into their needs.
One more time?
Tuned into their needs.
Tuned into their needs, right? I'm tuned into theirs, they're tuned into mine. We pay attention to each other, we're in sync. Okay? So how I'm going to ask Jolene for her to give me some connection with attachment. I don't really want to put the lead rope around her neck and bring her over here. And I know she's kind of in the corner right now. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to put a little pressure on her hind end. And what I'd eventually like to see, to know that she's attached to me, is she will, just like before, she's going to kneel her hindquarters, circle, and put herself right next to me. Okay? So something I see a lot, and I see the inspiration crew over here. When you guys do natural lifemanship, so again, please don't judge me. I don't know if you heard that spiel in the beginning, because I was still learning. I had just worked with a horse, and I was asking him to completely circle around and come behind me. But again, that's when I was asking to him. That's because he would try, and I would miss it, and I wouldn't take the pressure off. But I just forgot where I was going with this. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. But I am going to put pressure on my hind end. I'm going to look. Okay? So I know I'm over here, but what are some ways you can put pressure on your horse without using a stick or a lunge whip or anything like that?
Eye contact. Eyes.
Eyes.
Belly button.
Belly button. What else?
Proximity.
Proximity. Okay?
Posture.
Posture. Yep. All pressure, right? And something I've come to learn is that in all of my work with groundwork, I've always been taught you have to come at them with like this confident, strong, but what's that going to tell my horse if I come at him like,
You're a predator.
a predator, yeah? And me, I'm not a predator dog. Many people who have drawn the horses in this kind of work have experienced plenty of trauma in their life, and I don't want to be the people that traumatize me. So I really need to soften my body language. Not to the point where I am shrinking, but I want to be soft, but confident, approachable, okay? So this is tricky. She's in a corner, okay? What can happen if I put too much pressure on a horse in a corner and I don't give her a way out? Okay? So I am going to give her a way out. I'm going to approach a little bit from behind. And for this to work, there are going to be moments when I'm silent. But I'd like you guys to kind of, once we get to an area where we can see her a little better, I would like you guys to think, or maybe even jot down some of the body language that you're seeing from her. Like I said, I'm going to try to see if we can get her out of here, out of the corner, but again, I don't want to put too much pressure on, because I don't want to put her in that elevated state. I know, you're bored, you know what you're doing here, okay? So I have my rope, but I'm not going to use it right away. So I'm going to have my eyes looking at her butt, and I'm going to kind of approach. She's not paying attention to me or has away. She wants out. So this might also tell me that this, and again, I don't know what you guys do with your horses. Do you guys ever do work like this with the horses here at Equine? Okay? So there's, she said there's a little bit of connection work, but many horses that I've seen that are acting like this, so our horse, Cricket, that we work with at home, he doesn't really have a desire to connect, because he likes doing what he wanted when he wanted. A scary paper, flutter in the wind. Cricket learned that people make me do things that I don't want to do, and I'm not interested in working with them. So we have a long way to go to get him to connect, to want to connect with a human. So right now, she's really uninterested in connecting, and maybe she'll surprise me, okay? So I'm going to start putting pressure on. and ask her to move a little bit. Okay, so she's walking, and I'm going to stop putting pressure on because she moved, but okay, I'm still looking at her hind end a little bit because again, I am trying to get her out of this corner. She's looking for answers. Why are these people staring at me? And again, what I learned in the last session is she's not a horse that needs a whole lot of pressure. So my eyes being here and my presence behind her. Okay, very interested in what's on the snack table. Good girl. So she's very fixated in this corner. Guys, what does this corner symbolize to this horse? Getting out, back to my stall, back to my friends. Out of here. So I'm just going to kind of, just by looking and walking behind her, that is still pressure, okay? And if you guys ever watch horses in the pasture, when they want to interact, they will follow, sometimes if they're just kind of pushing themselves around to establish dominance, they will push each other around in this manner. But then there's other times when they want interaction, and eventually the horse will turn around to face the other horse that's pushing from behind. Girl. Okay, so I'm looking at also out the corner of my eye. Her head is low. She's walking slowly. Okay, so that's telling me she's still not in that fight or flight mode. Okay, if she were to pick up her pace or have her head up or get really snorting and wide-eyed, that may be an indication that I put her too much pressure on, or maybe I escalated. I mean, does she seem like she's at all interested in engaging with me? No? And that's okay. Because I'm still back here. I'm still kind of applying pressure. She's licking and chewing. She just blew out some energy, right? So she's relaxing into this a little bit more. And hopefully, eventually, we'll start to understand what I'm after. But I'm glad she's over here now. And then she stops moving. There you go. So now I will apply more pressure. And I'm still looking at hind end. Okay, so now she's circled a little bit. I don't know if she's going to try to come to me. But, okay. Very nice, thank you. So she did put herself next to me. Okay? So that is, oh, you're still there. You're still there. And opposed to your regular join up, where the horse is running around, how is that different? Slow, relaxed. I'm not asking a lot. I'm not a threat, okay? No part, not sweaty or panic, which is amazing considering I'm not the sweatiest person on the planet, okay? And for someone who hates being hot, I keep moving further south. Doesn't make sense, okay? So again, she's disengaged, but I'm also disengaged. I'm having a conversation, right? There's many times where I'll be like, I'm a woman, I can multitask, I can talk to my volunteer coordinator and do natural life. No. If you're going to be doing this, again, it's hard for me to be talking because I want to point out the body language that I'm seeing. Have you guys noticed any body language from her just in those couple of minutes?
Her ears were on and off.
Mm-hmm.
He was like keeping track of you, but also doing her own thing.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm just assuming she's never had natural life done with her, right? Never had someone really make a request. Another thing that a lot of my clients struggle with is, why should I make this request of her? Why should I make her connect with me? And my response is, am I making an unreasonable request? Okay, so you did see kind of baby chew? Okay, I didn't catch that, I'm sorry. But also hard to see that from right behind the horse. And then, of course, keeping safety in mind, we don't want to get right behind them. So I'm gonna ask Jolene for a little bit more here. Okay, there's another look at you. There we go. Okay, so now and this is the point where, the horse, I don't really know, right? Normally I would keep looking at the hind end and keep kind of circling her, but in keeping in mind that I'm going to try to reward those small efforts, that circling, that's what you're looking for when she circles in. Okay, so I did take the pressure off there. I softened my body, but I didn't leave. Okay, so a lot of times when we take pressure off, we might step away or take a deep breath. But I'm trying to soften my body and stay with her. I'm not trying to touch her either. She just touched me. Okay, because again, I want her to have a little bit of choice here. She initiated the contact, gently put her belly into my elbow. Okay, so one thing that makes me cringe as an equestrian is when someone walks up to a horse in the cross ties and is like, oh my God, hi. Can your horse get away in the cross ties? No. Okay? So I'm always like, please respect your horse. The face is the most commonly disrespected part of the horse's body. We halter it, we pull on it, we bridle it. So I'm really careful about touching the face, and that part just right there made me die inside a little bit. Again, she's being curious, right? So I asked her for a little bit of a connection, right? I don't know if she's got something in her mouth, or again, she's just showing me that sign of relaxation. But again, she's engaging with me. She's no longer, her focus isn't out there anymore. And that's really nice. And doing this kind of work, I really want them to be the first to make that request for engagement or touch, okay? I don't know, is this what she, yeah. But was she rude about it?
No. She didn't do a Duke.
Okay, yeah, so we have a horse, Duke, I just mentioned him a little while ago. He is not shy in asking for butt scratches. He will straight up knock you over. Okay, so a lot of clients, when they're walking through our pastures with us and picking their horse, they're like, look, he chose me. And I have to make a very important distinction. Is he choosing you, or does he want something from you? Okay, and then that opens the door to a powerful conversation. Do you have any one-sided friendships? Do people ask things of you? Question?
Yeah. What do you do with a equine, a horse, in this case a mule, that is very one-sided? He wants you. He wants butt scratches. I mean, we turn him loose in here, he'd beeline towards you. You wouldn't have to do anything to join up with him. But he's a little bit rude about it, right? He says, give me, give me, give me. In natural licenseship, when it's the other extreme, where do you go?
So from what I've talked about with some of the consultations I've had, is that's when you start making it about your boundaries. So, I didn't start touching her until she very gently touched me. So if she had come over and swung her butt into me and asked for butt scratches, I'm going to shoo her away. I'm going to get her out of my space. Not aggressively, but assertively. Because unless I get an acknowledgement from her that she has my permission, because it's a two-way street. I mean, I'm not just going to walk up to a horse and pet his face. I'm going to let him sniff my hand. I'm going to let him check me out, and then I'll reach and scratch the neck of the ribbon. So if I have a horse that's very much in my space, if he comes near me without asking permission to engage, I'm going to keep chasing him off until I do get a little bit of a question like, hey, may I approach? Because again, it's a two-way street. If I want my horse to have a boundary and be able to say no, I want that horse to also respect my boundary and my ability to say no. Because me, I don't know about you guys, but I would be all over that. I'd be like, yes, this horse loves me. I love the attention. This is wonderful. And I don't know, no, see, okay, so me, for a second, is she walking with me, or is she positioning herself? So now I'm actually going to show you a little bit here. So what she did, I started walking, she cut in front of me. Okay, so with horses, I'm just not getting the message. So when horses are feeling a little anxious or unsure about a situation, they're going to respond in a couple different ways. They're going to dissociate, they might stress eat, they might ignore, they might run, or they might try to control you. So I have a horse named Zeke, not my horse, but I'm a program. He gets very pushy. He is a high anxiety horse, wonderful therapy horse, but he can sometimes get a little pushy with his horse handlers. He might cut in front of them. That is a horse that's a little stressed out and is trying to take control of the situation. So her cutting in front of me, she's trying to control me, and is that healthy in a relationship? No. So even though I want her to have choice, right? Again, this is where the engagement with the mind and the horse comes in. I don't want her just forcing me into something. I want her and I to come to an agreement together. So here I'm just asking her to respect my space a little bit and not be so pushy, okay? So rubbing on the leg, rubbing their head on the leg can also be a sign of uncertainty, confusion, unless there's a fly, okay? But she's also releasing some stress with that shake of her head, becoming more relaxed, okay? So are you going to offer me your belly again? Maybe, I don't know. But I am, without kind of moving my space away, I'm going to ask her to move again. And I'm going to ask for a little bit more of that connection. And what I see here, common mistakes people will make, they'll say, oh, she's trying to hook up. When I stepped towards her, how did she respond?
She moved away.
She moved away, her head came up. I interrupted the connecting process because I forced my presence on her front end. So when you're circling like that, you literally want them to put themselves beside you because that is 100% their choice. So this is, she touched me a little bit with her nose. So in my mind, I'm like, was that a polite request for engagement? Or is she just kind of exploring me, right? But she's not being necessarily rude right now. She gently touched me with her belly. I mean, do you think horses are very much aware of where most of their body is in time and space? So yeah, she easily could have barreled into me and started Jolene like, hey, rub my belly, or rub my back, but she didn't. She gently touched my elbow with her beautiful belly, okay? So, because she was polite and I just bumped you, I'm sorry, I am going to give her a little butt scratch, okay? Just being polite. Ooh, I don't like that noise. I know I'm right under the speaker, so that's probably why. So she's still kind of keeping her distance, right? That's okay, we don't know each other. But she's still circling and she's attempting, so I'm going to take the pressure off. I'm going to soften, and it's as a thank you for that attention, for attempt for connection. But this time, she stopped next to me, she's not touching me. I'm going to give a little scratch. Okay, she politely placed herself next to me where she wanted me to scratch. I'm going to reward that little effort. And yes, this touching the horse and scratching is a good way to build a relationship, but it's not the only way, right? Think of your kids who have been traumatized, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Touching is not always easy, but touching a horse is different. I'm just making her day, okay? And does anybody else notice what side she keeps putting me on?
Her safe side.
The safe side. So those of you who were in the previous session, which side was she more reactive on? Okay, so she's putting me where she feels comfortable for me to be. Okay? Again, I haven't really imposed anything on her other than my boundary. Because me as a person, I don't like being hugged, I don't like being touched. So my personal bubble is important to me. And I really like, again, that she's not being super aggressive like she was earlier, right? Not that she was aggressive, she was just a little rude about it, a little ruder. But, I mean, that's how it's going to start. We don't know each other, she's going to attempt to impose her will on me, just like humans have imposed. And I don't mean this in a dirty way. Okay, so you notice how now she's getting a little bit, where she was a second ago, her head was just a little bit closer to me. And when we were circling. Right? She's closer. So she's put herself next to me. And we're connected. We are attached. So what do you notice about her body language? Head is low. Thank you, baby. I like this horse. Really good home with me. So we had a little look at connection. Oh, are we still connected?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Have I imposed my will on her? This, oh, I went side of my arm. Think I'm a mirror lover now? Yeah. But again, so she put me on this side, which is nice because, you know, again, in the therapeutic world, I understand, guys, that we don't always have the time to ask our horses for permission for things. We don't always have time to get them comfortable with us being on their bad side. We have to tack up. I have to grab the halter. I have to put it on you. I have to go right now. Class is in 15 minutes and I'm running late and my volunteer didn't show up. We gotta go. But being able to take these little moments and working with your horse to give them a choice is, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you like being told, I need you to take these riders and this is your lesson plan and I need you to do this in 5 minutes? Or, hey, what riders would you like to... What riders would you like to teach today, and do you have a lesson plan you'd like to do with them? Which one sounds better? It's pretty obvious, right? So, what she's doing now is actually the other kind of connection with detachment. Detachment is when the horse walks circles around you. She very gently made a request. She bumped me with her belly, okay? Because I'm a sucker for making horses happy, and I'm going to hit it to her. So detachment is when they walk circles around you. And you'll see this kind of show up in your horses and your clients' horses that are a little more insecure. They are going to want to be connected with you. They're going to like the attachment. Horses that are more aloof are going to want to stay farther away. So I'm going to attempt a little bit of what we call detachment here. So before I was looking at her butt, this time I'm going to focus my energy on her rib cage because I want her to move away from me, okay? And through here is kind of like that person who's like, well, if he doesn't text me every 20 minutes that he loves me, I don't think he loves me anymore. Who's like that? You don't have to tell me, but you can, you know. Or who is okay with your partner or your best friend being 3 states away? Okay, so if you prefer attachment, you're going to want to walk with your horse. If you're more comfortable with people at arm's length, you're going to be more comfortable with the detachment style. So depending on how your horse responds to a client, that's going to tell you a little bit about their attachment style. Me, I'm a, come here. Okay, go away. So I struggle personally with these elements. But again, I'm going off on a tangent, okay? But this kind of work, again, giving your horse complete choice of these interactions. Okay, this one can be, like I said, this one's a little tougher for me, so I might have to work a little harder. And I'm going to hold my rope. I want her to move a little farther away. I'm going to increase that energy. There we go. Keeping my eyes on her rib cage. What's her body language saying? I can't really see because I'm focused on the rib cage. What do you guys see? tells me she is
Avoiding.
uncomfortable with this. You're asking me to stay away. She is completely disconnected from me. And that's okay. Yes, that's her choice. Okay? But we're going to work on that a little bit now because I want her to know that even though I'm putting distance between us, that connection is still there. I still want that connection. I still like her. I still want to be with her. I just want to put a little space between us. So if you have a horse, so this is also going to be good for your donkey. This right here, he wants to be close. He feels like he can only be safe with you really close. And him being on top of you, detachment work, making him know that the connection is still there, even with some distance, that's going to be helpful. So now she's maintaining a circle. Heads low. I want a little more space. The girl, oh, she's distracted. This is too much for her. Okay, and in a minute here, she gives me just a little bit more. So her head kind of dropped out to the sand, almost like she was a little uncertain. I'm still looking at her ribcage. That dropped out head. Uncertainty. I'm not comfortable with this. Not a big fan. Or she's looking to roll. If you guys were here last time, you know she's in the head.
Yeah.
I'm still looking at her ribcage and trying to make sure my belly button is pointed at her. Okay, where's she headed?
Gate.
Gate. This is hard for her. So soon. She's very focused on outside. This is hard for her. Detachment. So once I get a little bit more of detachment from her, I'll ask her to reattach to me and we can be close again. Then you can see this is challenging. Okay, so right here I'm going to put my eyes back on her butt. And let her know it's safe to come back. And you'll know your horse is in tune with you because when you shift from the belly to the butt, they'll circle almost immediately. But by asking her to move away from me, what might I have done to the relationship? Can anybody say something? I can't really hear it. He's questioning the relationship. So I have used quite a bit of energy there. Might have broken a little bit of trust. You made me stay away. I didn't like it. I wanted butt scratches. You didn't give them to me. All right, she's making another attempt. I'm going to soften, and I'm going to thank her for that effort of trying to reconnect with me. I know there's a lot going on, baby girl. I know. There we go. Good girl. Big, much happier, slower pace. Head down low. Still a little cautious. Are you going to leave me again? You're going to make me go out all by myself? How am I on time? 15 minutes? Okay. So we got some looking and chewing. Her head is still low, right? She's looking at me. Gentle, so she gently turned towards me with her nose, a very gentle touch, okay? So in my mind, that's that very gentle question, hey, are we okay? Can I touch you? Can you touch me? Is everything okay? Opening the door. So tell me, what kind of conversation did I just have with Jolene? What do you think?
Reassurance.
Reassurance. Okay, and just throughout the last couple of minutes, what are some things you saw happening between her and me?
You realized that you could say no too.
And no is that I suck at no. I'm very bad at saying no. It's a powerful word. It's powerful for us and for them. So what I'm going to show you now, and usually I wouldn't attempt this with a horse that I haven't done a whole lot of work with. Again, that wasn't rude though. She's giving me space. She grazed me with her belly, like very lightly. If I ever fail as a therapeutic riding instructor, I could be a professional butt scratcher. Okay, so what I'm going to attempt right now is something else I really, really love to do with our therapy horses when I can. Again, I understand that we don't always have the option or the time to let our horses consent to putting the halter on. Okay? How often does a therapy horse get to consent when they work in therapeutic riding? Never. Okay? So again, usually I would do this with a horse I have more of a relationship with, because what does a horse associate this with? Work. Taking away my freedom. You're going to make me do stuff I don't want to do. Okay? Taking away from my friends, my food, my freedom, everything. Okay? So, she wants nothing to do with this halter. She touched it, she looked at it, said no, thank you. Okay?
But look what side
But
you're
she's
on.
staying close. And what side did she put me on? Now, there could be two reasons for this. One, the relationship is getting better, and she's okay with me being over here. Or what side do you halter from? You can't halter me if you're on my right side. Okay? See if I can turn around here a little. So if you have a horse that's resistant to the halter, you can do all the things I did while holding the halter and ask them to connect with you while holding the halter, taking away some of that negative association. Okay? So she's in a great position right now. No, I don't like that halter. Okay? So I am going to say, she turned into it. I'm going to step away. I'm going to thank her for not walking away. Again, she's going to scratch her butt. I'm going to scratch. Okay? Because one thing natural life-manship, and again, something I've been struggling with here recently, is again, in this work of connection, those small efforts. Okay, I offered the halter, she turned into it, I said, all right. I'm not going to just throw it on you, right? Trust me, I've gotten that panic call from my volunteer coordinator. My volunteer is going to be late, can you grab the horse and tack him up? And I don't have time to say, okay, see, can you put your nose in the halter? Okay, but my volunteer is looking up the barn buddy, we might have time for that. So I am going to ask her to connect with me a little while I'm holding this halter. I'm not going to hide it. Okay, she's a little turned away, hands up a little, but she knows very well I'm holding this halter. Okay? Well, she turned around. She's got it. Good girl. I had a really looking too when I started scratching. Didn't go on, releasing some stress around the halter. Okay. I know you're wanting butt scratches. I'm not going to give it. Setting it on. I think I saw it from the corner of my eye. Okay. Again, relaxation with the halter. And we stop asking, because in natural life-manship, when we see signs of relaxation and contentment, we reward it by no longer asking. Okay? Yawning again. Okay? Okay, as a 7-year-old, I'd like to think that she doesn't yet have as many dark thoughts about this as, say, a 24-year-old horse might. Right? She put her head right in. Okay? And I don't know if she does that on a regular, okay? But I'm going to take it. All right? Because she put her head in, but I'm not going to ask her anything. Okay? And sometimes, so I was talking in the previous session about a horse named Stormy. He was 24. Now, well, he's 24 now. We've had him almost 2 years. Yeah. It would take, he lived in a round pen for 2 weeks during quarantine, but we had to keep him in there for a month because it took over an hour to get a halter on him to catch him, and, you know. But this made all the difference for that horse. And normally, if a horse says no in natural life-manship with the halter, what they told me in my most recent consult, because I've been getting that part wrong, that's okay, we make mistakes, right? Is when a horse says no, you allow them to make that answer. And you give them a little space and then you can press and then you ask again. The first time I stepped away from Stormy when he said no, he was like, what? Okay? Because I'm pretty sure this horse was raised by a cowboy, old school cowboy. I don't care how you feel about what I'm asking you to do, you're going to do it now, and if you don't do it, I'm going to whack you. Because he was head shy, he was very sensitive of any fast movements. You reach out to touch him, he'd start like twitching. I mean, we never know what our horses go through, but a lot of our horses have a trauma history at joyride. It just kind of happened that way. Like one of our instructors, Erica, where's your name, Erica? She's got an 18-hand draft horse that she bought online, sight unseen, Amish work horse, dumped at an auction. Okay, came to us extremely shut down. You came out with a halter and the life just left his eyes. Right? So, oh, I'm going to work. He's got scars. Hair's never going to heal back. But Erica's been working hard with him and doing some of this kind of work. And there are several times we offer him a halter and he's like, okay. Therapeutic work, I mean, it's not just therapy for us or our clients, right? I mean, I have personally seen horses come back to life because of this kind of work, giving them that choice, opening the door for communication, seeing them as individuals, giving them the freedom to play and explore with their environment and with us. And, you know, just like a little kid, if we let them, if we don't have boundaries and rules and we let them walk all over us, you know, little Duke will swing his butt into me. If I just let him continuously swing his butt into me when he wants butt scratches, I'm going to teach him that's okay. But he can ask politely. He can touch me with his nose and kind of just like, hey, you want to scratch it? Can you scratch it? Right? I wanted to ask her, this is much politer, in my opinion. She's been getting a little bit better with how she's asking me. Kind of a sideways approach. Yes?
We've got a horse that's head shy and hard to catch, and I can see how this would benefit working with that horse. Any thoughts on a horse like that, doing that work in the pasture or bringing him into an arena?
You can do it in the pasture, absolutely. In fact, how many here have worked with a horse that doesn't want to get caught? Okay? We're very lucky at Joyride, none of our horses run from us. So you can do, like, you go out there and your horse is running. One method that I grew up with is if your horse starts running, make it your idea. Chase them, make them run. Okay? But you can do this, the connection work, holding the halter, right? You can say, hey, I understand you don't want to work, but how easy is it to keep your cool when you've got a lesson in 15 minutes and your horse is running, right? Who knows, has heard the phrase, if you have my 5 minutes, it'll take all day, but if you have all day, it'll take 5 minutes, right? So if I have a horse that's running, I'm going to do the connection work with the halter, ask them to connect, put in that pressure on the hind end. Doesn't have to be crazy pressure unless the horse isn't moving out of the way. You start small and you increase the level of pressure you put on. In fact, the take the small efforts. If the horse, if you're putting pressure on him, he stops running and he flicks an ear at you, that's a start. That's a baby block, right? That's an attempt at, okay, well, I understand you're trying to speak my language. They know we're not horses, but we're trying to speak their language. And if they make that small effort, again, am I just about out of time again? Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? Did I answer your question? Okay. And we can absolutely, if you want any more, I know I'm out of time here, I'm sorry, I'm very long-winded.
Can you do this with a whole herd pasture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. I will do it. If I have a kid, actually, if I have a kid, you know, sometimes that's how we'll do it, especially if I can see they're a little bit moved, right? And my plan might go out the window, I'm going to work on connection in the pasture. And you know what? I've also seen Cricket, he's our horse leader, and he's our alpha out in that pasture. If one of us is trying to catch a different horse and they keep running, and he's eventually like, you know what, that's enough, just go do your job. But you can absolutely do it with lots of horses in the pasture.
The thing I love about this is, especially if you go to students where it's around watching, to see that you're giving a horse a choice allows them to say, oh, I can respectfully ask for things,
Mhm.
and maybe get what I want if I ask for it.
Yeah.
But if I don't, pressure's gonna get out, so get to see feeling and doing essentially,
Mhm.
but also get to hear that I have a result.
Mhm. And the difference between this horse in the beginning and this horse now. Connection. So I know, one last question, do I have time for one more? Okay, so how could this be helpful to prevent burnout in our horses? Brain engagement, right? We're keeping it calm. We're not in our fight or flight mode. We're thinking, okay?
I've seen centers use this though, that they allow the no so much that the no becomes the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And it even looks like shutdowns to me because, no, I don't, you know.
Yeah, and
They go to what looks like very much of a situation shutdown.
yeah, and we could do a whole nother session on the no. But if you have the time, you know, like if she were to say no to the halter and completely turn away from it, I wouldn't necessarily take that pressure off. I might increase it a little bit, not aggressively, but then when she gives to that a little bit, then I would take it off. I saw a hand over here.
They feel heard,
They feel heard, yes, they have a voice.
and as a person, I'm gonna work harder for you
Mhm.
if I feel heard.
Yeah, we're pouring into them, right? I see your hand. We are, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. We're giving back to them in a way that is refreshing and can bring them back from, you know, feeling used. Our horses are not tools; they're teammates, co-workers.
Nurturing, I guess.
Nurturing.
I think it helps in the burnout and the variety. Like for TR, they're told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. In this, they have a voice, and so that variety helps
Yeah.
with the burnout.
Yeah.
It's giving them back that control, that power.
We're letting our horses have control, have some power, have a say, right?
I was just gonna say, coach herd is so important, and you're in her herd, right?
Right now, I'm in her
You're
herd.
in her herd.
Yeah.
She's gonna work harder for her family,
Mm-hmm.
with that connection.
Yeah. And she's going to want to be connected more, right? Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
For
Thank
all of
you.
the time and patience. Sorry I went over.